The wind cut sharply through the city street, carrying the smell of rain and exhaust. Near the entrance of the busy subway station sat a man wrapped in a thin, worn coat, his shoes cracked, his beard streaked with gray. Most people hurried past him without slowing down, eyes fixed ahead, hands buried in pockets. His name was Isaiah. He sat quietly beside a cardboard sign that read simply, "Hungry. Anything helps." His hands were rough, knuckles swollen from years of hard labor and harder nights. In his coat pocket was everything he owned in the world at that moment. $1. It had taken him nearly all day to get it. A few coins here, a kind glance there. Enough, he hoped, to buy a small cup of soup before the shelter closed. That was when he saw her. A young woman stood near the subway stairs, panic written across her face. She patted her jacket, searched her bag, then looked around helplessly. Her phone slipped from her hand and clattered to the ground. "I lost my wallet," she whispered, voice shaking. "I don't even have bus fare." People passed her too. Someone sighed. Another shook their head. No one stopped. Isaiah watched quietly. He felt the familiar pull in his chest, that quiet argument he had with himself every time. He didn't have enough. He never had enough. But he also knew what it felt like to be stranded, to feel invisible, to feel like the world had decided you didn't matter. Slowly, he stood up. The woman barely noticed him at first as he approached. He reached into his pocket, fingers brushing the crumpled bill, and hesitated for just a moment. Then he placed it gently in her open hand. "This is all I got," he said softly. "What did you get you home?" She stared at the dollar, then at him. "No, I can't take this. You need it more than I do." Isaiah shook his head. "You look scared." "I'll be all right." Her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'll never forget this." As she hurried down the stairs, 2 police officers across the street had been watching. They exchanged a glance and approached Isaiah, their radios crackling. People nearby slowed, some pulling out their phones, already assuming the worst. "Sir," one officer said carefully, "can we talk to you for a moment?" Isaiah nodded, his shoulders tightening. He'd been here before. Questions, suspicion, judgment. He kept his hands visible, his voice calm. "Yes, officer. We saw what you just did," the other officer said. "Do you know that woman?" "No, sir." "You gave her money?" Isaiah nodded again. "It was just $1. The officers were quiet for a moment. Then, one of them spoke, his tone different now. "Sir, we need you to come with us." A small crowd had formed. This bus traveled fast. Some shook their heads. Others murmured about how kindness never paid. Isaiah followed without protest. He didn't argue. He didn't ask why. He had learned long ago that dignity sometimes meant silence. They walked a short distance to a patrol car. The officers opened the door, not for the back seat, but for him to stand beside it. "Wait here," one said. Minutes passed. Isaiah stared at the pavement, stomach aching with hunger, wondering if he had made a mistake giving away his last dollar. Then the sound of another car approaching broke the silence. A black SUV pulled up. A man in a tailored coat stepped out, eyes scanning the street until they landed on Isaiah. His face changed instantly. He walked over quickly. "Isaiah," the man said, disbelief in his voice. Isaiah looked up slowly. His breath caught. "Daniel?" The man pulled him into a tight embrace. The crowd fell silent. One of the officers cleared his throat. "Sir, this man is the one you reported missing years ago." Daniel turned to the onlookers. "This is my older brother. He saved my life when we were kids. He disappeared after serving overseas. We've been searching ever since." Daniel looked back at Isaiah, his voice breaking. "And today, after everything, you still gave away your last dollar." Tears streamed down Isaiah's face. "I didn't know it was you they were talking about. I just didn't want someone else to feel alone." Daniel reached into his wallet, but then stopped. He shook his head and smiled through tears. "No," he said. "You already gave enough." The officer stepped back respectfully as Daniel placed an arm around Isaiah's shoulders. "You're coming home," he said, "not because of who I am, but because of who you've always been." As they walked away together, the crowd stood frozen, forced to confront a truth they often ignored. Kindness doesn't come from abundance. Sometimes it comes from those who have almost nothing left to give, and choose to give it anyway.